want to start looking at some of these players that we have on offer here because there's a lot of talk right now about a guy like Nico Hines, for example. Now, first things first, with a guy like Nico Hines, you've obviously got a great average last year, so 73.9 points. The thing that I want to look for with someone like this, though, and just in case you haven't seen it before, this is NRL Fantasy Stats.com. Great website for analysis. I highly recommend it. But if I search for Nico Hines here, I can actually very quickly have a look at how did he go last year. So 2023, we quickly see the average is 73.9. All right, 73.9 average last year, whereas with a guy like Trindle next to him, how'd he go? I had a 70 average last year with Trindle, and without Trindle, 80-point average. So you got a 10-point difference there for Nico Hines. If we go back to 2022, he averaged 75 without Trindle and 66 with Trindle. Again, about a 10-point difference. Now, the Sharks have moved off Matt Moylan. So for me, Nico Hines is a skip this year. But what I am going to start with right away is Nathan Cleary. So the big dog, look, you can't skip that value. I think he's going to come out and he's going to keep on firing. You need a captain round one, right? And if you're not going Nico Hines, you probably want to go big bad Cleary. Now, there's a few other guys that are interesting here. So this is my pod of, I don't even know if I'd call it the pod of the year, but let's call it the pod of the year, right? Joseph Suaalii. Now, Joseph Suaalii is in an interesting spot. And we're just jumping right into players here. But Joseph Suaalii, 518K, averaged 37 last year. If we jump into his fixtures as well, you can see he doesn't have a bye for a while. So he plays the first set of rounds. Broncos, Seagulls, Rabbits, Panthers, Bulldogs, Knights, Storm, Dragons. It's not the easiest set of fixtures for him. But what is exciting about Joseph Suaalii is if I go to his profile here in NRL Fantasy Stats, right, and I get his numbers from 2023, we have an average of 37.6 points. And let me just move myself to the other side so you can see that. 37.6 points was his average last year. If we look at him positionally, on the wing, he averaged 50.9, right? Basically, he was Jermaine Asako when he played on the wing. And Jermaine Asako was arguably the best wing fullback in fantasy last year. When he played at center, it was piss poor, 30.5. Now, was this a fluke? Let's look at 2022. He didn't play at center in 2022, whereas on the wing, he was a 35 average in 2022. In 2021, how'd he go? Didn't play a lot of wing in 2021. Played a bit of center, but again, lower average 26. So look, you could say last year was a bit of a blip on the radar. He had nearly a try a game last year, but 50.9 was very interesting, and the Chooks are on the up. So Joe Suaalii could be one of those pods where if they get him back onto the wing, which I expect them to, he could be one of those guys that's just an automatic sort of gun for you in the early rounds, and a guy that kicks off and gets to 600 or 700K from that starting point of 518K. Another guy a lot of people are talking about is Aiden Caesar. So this is one that I'm not as excited about. We got him joining the Tigers this year. He'll start for sure, but 477K, it's not expensive. It's not that cheap. And again, you check out his numbers historically. So he last played in the NRL in 2019. For Aiden Caesar, if we go to 2019 stats, admittedly slightly different scoring formats back then. Obviously, it's 5 years ago. But his average was 34. If you look at his averages for kick meters, 160 kick meters a game. Run meters, 59 run meters. The attacking stats weren't super high either. I just don't really see him being a 40-plus guy. I could see a world where he floats into the high 30s and does a lot of work in that team, but I think you're gonna be kind of dilly-dallying around with a guy like Aiden Caesar, and you'll probably sell him for 520K in 2 months, right? And it'll just have been a wasted slot. So I'm not interested in Aiden Caesar. I'm skipping that one. A lot of people really like him. It's totally up to you. If you think he's going to turn things around at the Tigers, then that's all on you. But I'm not backing him too much. Now, before we keep going into these players here, I just want to share with you guys as well. We've got a couple of leagues spinning up. I'll be spinning up a bunch of head-to-head leagues as well. But for this one, we've got the Casual Athlete Overall League. So this league is open to everyone. It's an overall score league. And I'll put this code in the bottom as well. But TZ6S3KHE is the code there to join that one. So everyone is watching now. If you join that, then I'm looking forward to crushing you in that league because I will be taking no prisoners this year. Or maybe you'll get up. Now, let's jump right back into these players. So there's some other exciting guys here. And look, I think the halves is a really interesting area to talk about this year because I think there was a lot of explosion last year, a lot of high upside last year. And a lot of those guys are going to come crashing back to earth a bit this year, is my view. So if we go through, I already talked about Nico Hines, but Daly Trey Evans gets Luke Brooks as his partner. Luke Brooks is arguably one of the more dominant halves that he's played next to. So Kieran Foran, not a prolific kicker, pretty much pure six. Josh Schuster wasn't doing too much in the kicking game and sort of handling the ball. You've got guys like Cooper Johns, you've got Jake Arthur last year. Again, those guys coming in really helped Trey Evans to hit fantasy heights. Now, I think DCE and Brooks is going to be a fantastic halves pairing in real life. I think people are getting a bit excited about Brooks as a Dally M prospect, but yeah, they're going to be a good halves pairing in real life. It's not going to be good for fantasy though. So both of them will take a hit in fantasy. DCE will not average above 60 this year. I would say the mid to high 50s is where I'd put him. Maybe a 5-point loss on last year, but he will play some good footy. Sean Johnson, you're buying at the peak there as well. He had a cracking year last year. They get RTS, which is pretty nice for him, but 63.4, is he going to go up from there? No, he's not going to go up from there. Will he stay the same? Probably. Will he drop off? There could be a drop off as well. It just could be anything, right? So you're buying a lot of risk in that one. Moses is a bit more interesting. So Parramatta had a rough year last year. Obviously, I'm a bit biased as a Parramatta fan, but I think Moses could be good. I think Brown, you're buying a lot of risk there at 55. He doesn't kick the ball. Cam Munster at 58 is very interesting. And I might actually just, do I want to chuck Munster in? Penrith round one's not that nice. They do have a buy in round 4, I think it is as well. I won't do it for now. But one guy I do think is interesting here is Matt Burton. So you look at Matt Burton, you look at Dylan Brown, right? 10-point difference between those guys. Both more ball running sixes. I think Sexton's had a year to acclimatize now to the dog system and a preseason. I think we might see more from Burton as long as he's not playing center. So for me, I'm going to chuck Matty Burton in. I think he could get up into that 50s area because he does kick as well. So he can be essentially statistically a Dylan Brown light in terms of the running game and then add in the long kicking game as well. And plus he's got the goal kicking too, which, they get Critter as well. They should be a better team this year. So I'm all on Matt Burton there. A guy like Dewey is really interesting. You check out Dewey's stats. And I'm staying in the halves a bit here because it's just so interesting. But with a guy like Dewey, not a lot of games in 2023, but if you look at his scores at 5/8, 52.3 average, right? If you look at it in 2022, he was a 60 average at 5/8. That same year, he was averaging 15 at center. Didn't play that many games there. So, at 5'8", he's that guy. So you could keep an eye on Dewey. I'm not going to do it. It's a little risky with injuries, but he could be one of those guys that comes out and averages 60 plus. So that's kind of interesting there. Do not get Jack Whiten. I know it's exciting with him signing with Souths. They're a great team, but that would be a shocking pickup for you. Another guy that I think is really interesting here is Joshy Schuster. So if we see Schuster back to, oh wait, I've already got enough. I guess he's in the back row for me. If we see Schuster going back to the back row, that's going to be good for him. I think that's what we're going to see. He should have a good work rate there, and obviously he's not a super high work rate guy, but if we see him go into that position, let's just go second row. Yeah, so second row average for him is 47.4. I don't think I need to say much more than that. He's played 80 minutes most games there as well. Not a crazy try scoring rate, Pretty good try assist rate, which makes sense with him. We're going to see a lot of offloads as well. So, yeah, an offload a game, I think he can do better than that. But the 90 run meters a game, that's the big thing. So if he can tuck the ball under the arm, he's bloody destructive, this guy. And at 408K, he's a must-have, especially if he starts. 47.4 average. No conversation to be had on this guy. That's easy. Now, let's start putting together a bit of a team here. So if I go to hooker, Harry Grant, Damien Cook, you can't really go wrong with those guys. I like Grant more than I like Cook. I think Cook's taking a bit of a step back as he gets a bit older and doing a lot of good things that don't reflect on the statistical board, whereas Harry Grant's doing everything, right? He's racking up stats. What I would say, though, is you could save 120K and go with a Reece Robson. Now, with Reece Robson, he had a cracking start to last year. He had a couple of 70-plus scores in the first month of footy. He really fell off down the stretch. Now, he can average in the high 40s in terms of tackles per game. If we then throw in some attacking plays, and the Cowboys had a rough year last year, that could be very interesting. So I'm a big fan of Reece Robson this year. I think there's no downside to that pick, and I think there's a lot of upside in it at 660K. So he's an easy one for me. Marshall King has upside, but it's a bit risky, and he picked up some injuries at the back end of last year. Brayley, Coruscant, Croker all priced where they should be. Egan could be an upside play, same as Marnie, but again, risky. Brayley will probably share with Phoenix Crossland a bit this year. Phoenix was good down the stretch. People didn't expect it, but he really turned up. Brandon Smith. Do we start with Brandon Smith again? Probably not. I need to see something pretty crazy to be doing that. I don't see it. And then the rest of the hookers, there might be something at Parramatta. So Brandon Hands, his average was brought down by the fact that he was playing off the bench for 5 minutes a game towards the start of the year and then got thrown into it. We might see more from him as well. So he's had a full preseason. It's a very good forward pack at Parramatta. I could be tempted to grab Brandon Hands, but 406K, I'd need to be very certain of the upside because it's a bit of a death zone, that price. It's a bit tricky. So I'm going to go with Robson and then leave that blank. Now, the middles is interesting. So Biz talked a bit about this last year, and he started with Yo, and it worked really well for him. And I think tying a bit of your money into these certainty sort of positions isn't a bad option. And Isaiah Yo, right, he didn't score below 60 more than once or twice last year. He is just so rock solid. Even down the stretch, he was playing big minutes. They're just not going to rest him because he's just so important to them. So I'm probably going to start with Isaiah Yo pretty happily and pretty confidently. The other guy is a Cam Murray. So if we just go to Murray's stats, I just want to show you the run he went on last year because he really cooled off, right? So this patch here with 47, 45, 29, 67, but then 44, 26. That was brutal. That was rough. He really tanked his price. He got down to 650K. And then he scored 60 plus most of the last 6 games. So a 70, 64, 69, 88 at the end. I think he'll start hot again. He started pretty hot last year too. I think we'll see him get rested through Origin. But if you're going to have Cam Murray, you start with Cam Murray or you don't get Cam Murray till after Origin. I don't like the idea of waiting and seeing on him because you're going to have to use 2 trades because he is not a guy you hold through Origin. So that's 2 big guns in the middle, which could be too much, but it also could be perfect. The other guy I really like here is, oh my God, I'm totally blanking on his name. Wow, you can tell we're in the first week of January. My boy Josh Curran, that's it. So Curran's had some good fantasy outputs previously. And again, we're just going first look here. But Joshy Curran, 2023. Actually, let's just go always. Let's do games where he got over 50 minutes. So games over 50 minutes, he averages 50 points. That's done. It's proven, right? If we chuck him into the lock spot, he averages 55 points. I don't need to say anything else. Like, it's even if you got 50 to 60 minutes, what's that? So 50 to 60 hasn't done that much. 50 to 70, let's say. Yeah, it's still 50 average if you take out 80-minute games. I just think at 501k, that's easy, right? You just got to go Josh Curran, and he's got the middle edge DPP as well. So, yeah, 50 average when he plays 50 plus minutes. Bang! Don't overthink it too much. You're all good. At the edge spot. So what could be interesting here, and there's a few guys you could talk about, right? So Dave Fafita, he's carrying an injury into this year. He is not a guy I would be starting with just because of that. I'll probably warm him into the season a bit. Absolute beast, though. Hopgood, you're buying him at a pretty high price, but he could outperform that. He could average 65. So not the worst option if you were to go with Hopgood. He might play Origin this year, though. Nat Butcher, you're buying high. He scored a lot of tries last year. Bateman's actually kind of value. He's kind of value. If he played lock, then you'd be cheering. You'd be absolutely cheering. As even if we just look at 2023, look 53 average. If we go games over 50 minutes, it's too many games over 70. It's 57. That's not really proving too much. How about position? How did he go in the second row? He averaged 55. At lock, didn't do as well because he copped an injury. Yeah, I don't know. There's not too much in the stats there. I just think he came in a bit half-baked last year. That's my big thinking here. So you're getting a guy where he came in, he was coming from the Super League, a bit undone, didn't start the year, and then sort of phased his way in. I think we'll see a better John Bateman this year. The risk there, and you can see it right here, is that he's on a bye round one. So do you want to do that? I'm probably not going to do it. But him and Isaiah Papali'i, I have very little doubt in my mind they'll return value on their price this year. Bo Firma, everyone's really excited about this. Don't get too excited. 660k is not the discount you think it is. He's priced at a high 40s number. I don't think he does that much better than that number. Tom Gilbert could be good. Don't do Jack Bird. Katoa has upside at 46, but not that much upside. I don't know. I mean, Hosking, if he got the start, would be crazy value. Lemuelu loses that center spot. Sean Lane, you're paying like a 40 average for Sean Lane. I'm not certain on it. I think if you look at Sean Lane, let's look at him here. I think that year he had was a bit of a blip for mine. So let's go 50 plus minute games, right? So career wise, 50 plus minutes, averages 47. If we look at last year, it was a 39. 2022 was a 52. 2021, 49, actually, you know what? 47. Yeah, look, sometimes our opinions are wrong and the stats are right. Okay, so he's sort of a high 40s average, except for last year where he had a bit of an injury-affected season and no attacking stats at all. Yeah, okay. I'm looking at this now. I'm thinking, yeah, that's pretty easy money. I think you're gonna get some big bounce games, right? You're gonna get some huge games. I think he'll destroy the Dogs round one as well. That adds to it. So yeah, there's upside in Sean Lane, not a lot of downside in Sean Lane as long as he's fully fit coming into the year. Kickout's another one. So again, just checking out these stats. And look, let me know if you disagree with any of these guys that I'm mentioning as well, because I'm always open to opinions on these things. But yeah, you're sort of seeing the live scouting right now. So for kick out, 37 average, games 50 plus minutes. With Penrith the year before it was 45, and the year before that it was 48, and the year before that it was 43. The year before that 43. Yeah, okay. So you had a bit of a low year last year, not a lot of attacking stats. One try in 9 games, I think it is not a great try scoring rate for him. Again, are you betting on the Dogs to be better, right? But it is another mid-ranger, and that's the thing. How many mid-rangers do you want? Do you want to clog your team up with those guys? I'm going to put him in right now, and I might take him out at some point. But look, the thing is, as the preseason progresses, typically what happens with my team is I'll have a lot of these mid-range kind of guys and then refine it back to a bit more of a guns and cows kind of strategy. But for now, a lot of these guys make it in. But we need a few of those rock bottom cheapies to pop up for us in the preseason. That's the big play. Suo Wong, priced at 32. If he gets a start, he gets a start, right? You can't guarantee it, but that's easy money. I'm just going to swap Schuster to the bench as well, just so I can sort of have a more accurate reflection of what I'm looking at here. Pia Kura, 399k. Now, he wasn't a big defensive motor last year. So as a back rower, that's a little tricky. Yeah, 16 tackles a game. If we just go over 50 minutes, 22 tackles a game, it's not great. 98 meters is okay. 3 tackle busts a game is good, and he had a pretty good line break rate. So a line break every second game. Could have some upside. Kurt Capewell leaves the club. I think there's definitely a pathway for Piakura to kick on. So we're going to pop him in for now. And then look, the rest of this list is there's a few guys who could be something if they go to spot, but probably won't. All right, wing fullback. If you paid money for your wing fullbacks last year, you had a terrible season. And as a Tedesco truther, well, not a truther, but at least a guy who started with Tedesco, that was a big mistake last year. Saying that, there's no guys who are as expensive as they were last year, this year on this list. Like there's a few that have popped up, but most of them are cheaper. So Tedesco, Trebojevic isn't even on the first page. Pappenhausen, as you go down the list, they're all cheaper. I think a guy like Latrell could be very interesting as well. We sort of see his fitness sort of going up each year as he gets used to that fullback spot. So I think you could make a call here between, and I'm probably like Drinkwater has some really low scores in him. So I think you don't want to pay full price for him. He was about 500k going into Origin last year, and he's 715k now. But if I'm looking at Latrell, Ponga, if you believe in Tedesco, you believe in Tedesco. I'm not putting him in there. But Latrell or Ponga, right? Oh, maybe, Mazu does his thing, but I think you could roll the dice on one of those two guys. I'm going to put Latrell into my team just to sort of see how this works. And I'll skip Ponga a bit. You could easily go the other way. Guys like Walsh and Edwards are interesting. Turbo, right? So if you look at Trebojevic, let me just show you the stats for Trebojevic because it's actually really crazy. So if you get minutes over 50, again, it's pretty much always my go-to. It just reflects they played most of the game. They played good minutes. Season 2023, he averaged 47 last year when he played big minutes. 2022, he averaged 37. That was a rough year for him. 2021, are you ready? 80 points. 80 points, right? So with Trebojevic, right, he's priced at this sort of mid to high 40s number. Your worst case scenario is that he gets injured. That's the real risk here. The second worst case scenario is that he averages in the mid 40s. He's probably not going to go much below that over a decent period of time. But the thing that you're praying for there is that upside play. So can he have that massive booster season again? Is Luke Brooks beneficial to him as well? Having a dominant 6, does that help Turbo? I don't know. I'm going to pop him in again. Like we'll work this through as we go along, but I'll pop him in. There's some guys here like Meany, I don't love. Toho, start with Taser Lesniak. You're paying full price, don't do it. Hamaso is the same. Karaz has a little bit of upside, but not enough to warrant that. Dom Young to the Roosters, but he played so well last year, so I can't do that. Brimson, Cody Nickeream is at full price. Pappenhausen. Okay, so Pappenhausen has, and again, I'll just quickly get him for you, but Pappenhausen averaged, I think it was like 65 a couple of years ago. So last year he scored 65 in his one game. He played full. 52 the year before that. 70 the year before that, and 50 the year before that. So you've got a great sample size for him. 495K is so cheap. Look, if he stays fit, he's a good buy. If he doesn't stay fit, then you look like a dummy, basically. That's as simple as it is. We'll see how he's looking heading into the preseason. Jaden Campbell's in a similar boat. If he gets a starting spot, then you're happy as. If he doesn't get a starting spot, then there's nothing in that. So we've got a pretty decent roster with no money remaining in the cap. That's where we're at right now. So we're going to have to get some cash cows. We're going to have to remove some of these other guys that we've got in here. So let's take some shots here. Let's take Turbo out because I'm not super high on him. I'd need to see some good preseason form or something. Put KO Weeks in. Got $1.2 million for 6 players. We're still a bit short, but that's all right. Then we might give the flick to Kickow or Burton. I think Kickow. Kickow doesn't have big fantasy upside for mine, and he was at Penrith, which players look good at Penrith, man. They score better at Penrith. So let's grab Wong now for the starting side. Okay, so now we've got 1.7 mil. We get a center. Who do we like at center? Drop a comment. Are there any centers that you like the look of? Because the more I do this, the more I think the center spot looks a little sus. There's some big guns you could go for. Don't mind like a Val Holmes. Can't afford him, obviously, with this team configuration I've got right now. But I think Val Holmes has some big upside. Kale Haro, if he got a start, which maybe, I don't know, Tracy's gone. Kale Haro is a really good footy player. Obviously, a few things are holding him back from first grade, but you could make a case for Talau as well at Manly. Maybe that's a better spot for him. They lose Morgan Harper. Does he get a start over Brad Parker? Does he play on the wing? That's hard to call. You can make a case for Sean Russell. Oh, here we go. How did I have this on my mind? Alamotti. Mate, Alamotti. It goes to Penrith from the Dogs. He had a tough time at Dogs. Still showed a bit of upside there. He is going to feast at Penrith. That's an easy buy. Okay, we're good. 1.3 mil. 6 players to buy now. And look, I'm counting on some cash cows popping up. So let's pop down the bottom. And it's pretty early in the year to make calls on some of these guys. But actually, drop a comment. Are there any of these rookies that you think are going to emerge pretty soon for our fantasy teams? Because if you've got the inside scoop, I want to hear it. I'm going to chuck Iro in, just counting on something happening there, but no guarantees. People like Beryl, people like Moser a lot as well. I'm going to chuck Moser in. The pathway to a starting spot is a bit tricky for him. It's a little tricky, but we could potentially look at, I don't know, keep seeing like Ben Shapovich and all that. They seem to want to give him a go. Jack Cartwright, if he ever got a proper start. Actually, Xavier Wilson. There's a world where they've lost a few guys, the Broncos. There's a world where he steps into some minutes. I don't mind that at all, actually. I'll probably grab him. Finafuyaki, he had a bit of upside about him too last year. I just don't see the pathway for him to get minutes. So like you got Halem Lukey, there you got Jeremiah Nanai in the club as well. Luciano Leilua, maybe he plays a bit in the middle. And then you got Finafuyaki. So he probably needs some injuries. You're probably going to get him at minimum price at some point. That's what I'm thinking about there. Let's just fill this roster up at this point. Let's grab a few guys. I don't want too many more Broncos players. Who are you? Let's get Gabriel. And then, look, I need to actually free up some cash at this point. So I've got 109K. I've got to fill one spot. How can I free up some money? Probably need to get rid of one of my mid-ranger type of guys, or I can get rid of Burton instead. Let's get rid of Piakura for now. And let's see what happens with him. We can find him find his way back into our team. Let's grab a few more cows. All right, so this is not the best team. It's not the best team. It's the first crack, all right? This would need a lot of things to go right for it. I think we're going to see a few more cash cows emerge. That's the big thing that I'm counting on here. But what I'm like with the strategy that I'm working here, what I'm doing is I'm trying to find some guys that I'm going to be able to keep for quite a while, who will be the core linchpins of my roster. So Reece Robson, Isaiah Yeo, Cam Murray, then Nathan Cleary, Matt Burton, then Latrell, hopefully Pappenhausen, and there's some guys with some big upside here. So Alamotti and Sully, they could both pop up to 700K if things go right. KO Weeks, cash cow. These back rowers could be big. In fact, I'm going to replace wrong with Piakura. Oh, wow. That's some dodgy typing. Piakura comes in because Wong might not get the start, right? And then we got 93K, and then maybe we can. All right, maybe we can make one more move. Let's make one more move. Who would you put in this last spot on the bench? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to drop a sub here too, because we're doing heaps of fantasy talk, and also tipping, just NRL in general too. All right, last spot in our team, Anthony Milford. Oh, watch out. We got. It's looking dry. It's looking really dry. Davey Moale, maybe they've lost a few middle forwards, and he's been sort of knocking on the door for a while. Sonny Luke, he didn't do much with his opportunity last year. Let's get Moale for now, and look, he needs some. He needs some good things to happen, right? So we need some cash cows, basically, is what I'm seeing here. Anyway, guys, that's the fantasy team pick for my first stab at it anyway. First team reveal. Let me know in the comments what you would change. It's a bit of a disaster. So if there's anything that you would swap around, let me know, and I will see you in the next video. Also, make sure to subscribe. See you around.